First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
The personal information of nearly 5 million TRICARE beneficiaries stolen.
Many of the victims right here in Hampton Roads. It happened 2 months ago in San Antonio, Texas, but beneficiaries are just now finding out. 10 on your side's Melanie Woodrow spoke with one victim. Melanie, how are these people finding out?
Well, Nicole, they're receiving this letter from government contractor Science Applications International Corporation. Apparently somebody stole a car that was holding backup tapes filled with personal beneficiary information. Now nearly 5 million people have to take steps to make sure their personal information does not fall into the wrong hands. Within minutes of posting information about the potential data breach on WAVY.com, hundreds of viewers began writing in.
I was like, okay, so maybe it's not a scam.
Tina Beach was one of those viewers. She and her husband recently received this letter from a TRICARE government contractor.
This letter is to notify you of the loss of your personal, identifiable, and protected health information.
Information including social security numbers, addresses, phone numbers, and personal health data.
I don't understand who would want to take this information.
TRICARE, the civilian health benefit provider for military personnel family members, gave government contractor SAIC permission to physically transport backup tapes. Those backup tapes contained the personal information. According to an SAIC spokesperson, somebody stole electrical equipment, a GPS, and those backup tapes from a car in San Antonio. SAIC says the personal security risk is low because whoever has the information would have to have an in-depth understanding of data interpretation.
If they couldn't use it, why else would they take it?
The government contractor said it was a random car break-in, and the company does not believe it was a targeted crime. In the meantime, SAIC is giving TRICARE beneficiaries a free year of credit monitoring.
I don't necessarily want my health information in, the wrong hands, especially if they have my prescriptions, the procedures that I've had done.
All right, so about that credit monitoring, there's some concern about the form that beneficiaries need to fill out. This is that form. We'll let you know what to do if you receive this letter coming up tonight at 6. We'll also let you know why the government contractor waited 2 full months to tell beneficiaries. In the newsroom, Melanie Woodrow, 10 on your side.
The Defense Department is facing a $4.9 billion class action lawsuit. It's filed on behalf of 4 military family members and the 4.9 million TRICARE beneficiaries whose personal information was on that stolen tape. A Hampton woman is named in the lawsuit.
Well, we hear a lot about jobs, how we need more of them. Another pressing issue here is getting to work. Well, tonight we have news about what many consider to be one of the most important future road projects for the area. But 10 on your side's Art Kahn tells us we all need a dose of patience before the rubber meets the road.
Commuters waiting for a third crossing to relieve gridlock at the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel had better not leave their motors running.
If I had the money in a hat box today with the environmental impact of that project, I'm not sure you'd get it any faster than 50 years anyway.
That's right, 50 years away, according to Virginia's Deputy Secretary of Transportation, David Tyre. However, the president of the Hampton Roads Public Transportation Alliance thinks the project could become a reality much sooner.
It's more like 20 to 25, but this is something we backed off from in the 90s, some 15 years ago. If we had moved forward then, we'd be finishing it now.
The third crossing Wright is referring to no longer involves construction of a third tube across the Elizabeth River and is now referred to as the Patriot Crossing.
Patriot Crossing would take you across from the port/naval base across to Craney Island.
And from there it would connect to 464 in one direction and 460 in the other. Improving the 460 corridor is the direction state transportation officials are leaning. Funding for that, however, does not include Patriot Crossing.
We really like 460 because we think it's an opportunity to get trucks out of the tunnels.
With more fuel-efficient cars on the market now, Tyre says the gas tax will not provide the revenue needed to fund transportation projects in the future. So where will the money come from? Tolls?
Yes, tolls will be a part of your reality in the future.
Unfortunately, gridlock will likely be the most immediate reality on the highways in Hampton Roads. Art Kahn, 10 on your side.
No surprise there. Deputy Secretary Tyre says transportation funding will have to come from partnerships between public and private investors. Tolls are the only way for the private sector to generate a return on their investment.
Police say she hit and killed a Chesapeake crossing guard, and today Tiara Blease faced a judge on the charge. Blease said the sun was in her eyes on October 3rd, and she didn't see Lovette Person in front of Western Branch Intermediate School. Person died at the hospital. Police originally said they wouldn't charge her, but later charged her with reckless driving. 10 on your side shows you this scene live on WAVY News 10 midday. An SUV flipped on Interstate 264 westbound at the Frederick Boulevard exit in Portsmouth. State police say no one was seriously hurt.
Police still have no suspects in the weekend shooting death of a Norfolk man. This happened early Saturday morning along East Virginia Beach Boulevard. Detectives say 42-year-old Anderson Britt then died at the hospital.
The USS Carr is headed home. 10 on your side was pierside in June as the sailors pulled away from Naval Station Norfolk. During the 5-month deployment, the Carr helped stop boats in the Caribbean suspected of drug smuggling and conducted joint exercises with other navies of the Baltic states. The USS Carr will return tomorrow.
Well, what would you do to make Norfolk a better place? Think about it. Maybe jot down some notes, because tonight you and your neighbors have a chance to weigh in. Transportation, neighborhoods, land use, they're all just some of the topics up for discussion with city leaders. That meeting starts in about an hour at Lambert's Point Community Center on West 42nd Street. It runs until 8 p.m.
The CEO of the charity linked to the child sex abuse allegations involving Penn State resigned. Dr. Jack Rakovitz said he hopes his resignation will help restore faith in the second mile. The grand jury that indicted Jerry Sandusky said the former Penn State assistant football coach found his victims through the charity's programs. Sandusky is accused of assaulting 8 children over 15 years. His attorney says he's innocent. The judge who set bail for Sandusky following his arraignment was a volunteer and donated money to the Second Mile program. NBC News uncovered a 1987 profile of the Second Mile, including an interview with Sandusky.
I enjoy being around children, and I enjoy their enthusiasm. I just have a good time with them.
Penn State head coach football coach Joe Paterno was fired last week. Athletic director Tim Curley and university president Gary Schultz were forced to step down. Mike McQuarrie, who says he witnessed a sexual assault, was placed on leave. He's an assistant coach. Curley and Schultz are due back in court this week to face charges of lying to a grand jury and covering up the reports of abuse. Tonight on Rock Center with Brian Williams, an in-depth look at how the outcome of the investigation could change Penn State University and its football program. That's tonight at 10, right here on WAVY TV 10.
And new tonight at 5:30, a new report on sexual assaults on Virginia college campuses. Why police say the attacks are not being prosecuted.
2 former defense secretaries are facing a federal lawsuit filed by former and current service members.
I was told I just needed to suck it up until the end of the investigation and to continue treating him with the respect his rank deserves.
Next at 5:30, why they claim their rape cases were mishandled by the military.
Occupy arrests. Officers hurt in the process will tell you what set off this confrontation with police.
And one-on-one with Anderson Cooper. A behind-the-scenes look at his talk show you'll see only on 10. Hear why he says his busy schedule doesn't feel like work.
And today, too nice to go to work today. It was obviously very, very nice and warm. Highs today around 77 degrees. We're going to get even warmer for tomorrow. Then some big changes coming up by this Wednesday. I'll tell you all about it in a few minutes.
You're watching WAVY News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Nicole Ribas, and Super Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
It's moving day for many Occupy protesters across the country. This is in Denver, where police say 2 officers were hurt while scuffling with protesters yesterday. This outburst happened after protesters refused to remove a table set up at the park. That, according to police, 2 were charged with assaulting an officer. And police in riot gear, they moved in before sunrise to clear Occupy protesters in Oakland. Police issued eviction notices this weekend and tore down their tents this morning. And then they arrested 32 who got in the way. Police say the demonstrators have the right to rally, but not to camp out in the city.
Occupy Norfolk protesters say they are meeting with police and the city tomorrow about how leaders kicked them out of a downtown park. The demonstrators say 3 hours was not enough notice to close camp. They say city workers improperly moved their things to an impound lot. An organizer sent 10 on Your Side these pictures. The protesters say some crews damaged or destroyed some of their belongings and other items are missing. 10 on Your Side showed you this video on Thursday after the Occupy camping permit expired. Officers arrested 6 people as they tried to get their belongings. The city said it never said the camping would continue indefinitely.
Car trouble. Why the feds are inspecting popular GM vehicles.
Anderson Cooper opens up to 10 on Your Side.
We've had a couple things that have been incredibly emotional.
Our cameras went to New York City to take you behind the scenes and one-on-one. Hear why Anderson likes to have a lot going on.
Let's face it, not many would admit they love working, especially if they're putting in 14-hour days. Anderson Cooper's an exception. He's juggling several high-profile jobs and says he wouldn't have it any other way.
David Culver went to New York City to sit down one-on-one with the newsman and to give us a rare behind-the-scenes look at his new daytime talk show. Anderson opened up about the stresses of his busy schedule, his mom, and even the U.S. military.
As part of his new talk show's launch, Anderson Cooper made it clear he likes to keep moving.
Every day in New York is different. You never know who you're going to meet. How you doing? What you're going to learn, what you're going to step in.
The newsman thrives on a busy schedule.
You know, I like doing a lot of different jobs. I mean, for years I've had several, I've been working for 60 Minutes in addition to CNN, and now I have this daytime show. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, so I find I'm happiest when I have a lot of stuff going on and I'm busy.
We sat down with him in his New York City studio. Mind you, it was 4 o'clock. He'd started at 8 in the morning and was only halfway through the day.
I almost feel bad doing this interview.
Why?
Because you've been through 2 shows, and your workday is not over yet.
Yeah, it's fun though. It's nice. I mean, it beats a real job.
But pulling off a daily show seen across the country is work. You realize that sitting through 2 tapings in one day. The Halloween show was up first. The audience decked out in their costumes. Anderson dressed up to honor the pioneer of daytime talk.
Today is our big Halloween special. I'm Phil Donahue.
The shows are non-stop, and so is Anderson, running all over the studio with a microphone in hand. Studio cameramen can barely keep up. Even commercial breaks are not really breaks. He's talking with producers. They're making last-minute changes.
This is awesome.
Young guests even appreciate the controlled chaos.
So as you can imagine, at a show like Anderson, a lot of action going on behind the scenes. There you have the makeup room, of course, where guests are getting all done up. Behind here, some of the crew you'll see walking around grabbing something to eat in between the 2 shows.
Once the Halloween taping wrapped, production crews were on it. The cobwebs pulled down, the furniture switched out, a new audience piled in, and Anderson was back as himself. Anderson stepped into the kingdom of daytime talk as the reigning queen stepped down.
I'm not trying to follow in any one person's footsteps. I'm just trying to be myself and do the best show I can.
In order for Anderson to be himself, he's had to open up. Interviewing his mom, Gloria Vanderbilt, he talked publicly about his family's past.
And it was a show about my brother who committed suicide, and so that was actually incredibly, for me, very emotional.
My mother was there, trying to talk him off the ledge. She was helpless to save him.
You almost choked up at one point and kind of just stopped, and your mom picked right up.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And there is never a closure on something that happens like
I know, I hate that. When I hear people on... Yeah.
And...
that was interesting that you caught that, because I didn't know if other people noticed that, but yeah, I found that really surprising too. My mom's really cool. I mean, she's 87, she's in great health, and she's lived this extraordinary lives, kind of multiple lives. Early on in my career, I never wanted people to know who my mom was, because I never wanted people to think that I'd somehow gotten the job or, created a career based on who she was.
They can either be buried in the road or detonated by a member of the Taliban.
Anderson seems to have escaped much of that criticism, in part because he started his career reporting from war zones. Covering conflict, he says, gave him an appreciation for our men and women serving us abroad.
I don't think a lot of people understand the level of sacrifice that military families make. Not just the member who's serving overseas, but the family members back home.
In the 20 years he's reported, Anderson's worked just about every shift in television, starting with the overnights at ABC News. Daytime now?
Yep.
Prime time? Is late night next?
Is late night next? I don't think so. I think, I think I got enough jobs as it is.
Not that he's complaining.
I feel very blessed if this will be able to continue. I'm able to continue doing all these different things.
In New York City, I'm David Culver. 10 on your side.
Well, you can find much more of David's visit to Anderson's show on WAVY.com, including the full unedited version of his sit-down interview. You'll also find a slideshow with behind-the-scenes photos and much more. Just go to WAVY.com and click on this story.
Now, in high definition, your Super Dot for 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
I don't get to go to New York. Just do busman's holidays.
Because we get your one-way ticket there, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks, Tom.
Nice. I'm kidding.
Yeah, glad your mic was open. Here's a look at what's going on right now. Very good. Here's a look at what's going on into the area. Skies are mostly clear. We have had a little bit of thin cloud cover throughout the region, but the big thing is been very, very warm and very breezy, but we're going to see some big changes coming up by Wednesday. There's a cold front taking shape on off to the northwest, and really there's going to be a secondary one. It'll finally kick this on through. This thing is not going to move all that much in the next day and a half, but then by Wednesday, this secondary cold front will kick on through, and we will significantly cool down by the end of the day on Wednesday. And you'll note that there's all kinds of rain out there following that cold front, and I think we'll see some late day rain on Wednesday, and we could see that continue into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. That's where everything's coming from. Let's have a closer look at what's going on for our area in terms of the cloud cover. Yeah, we've got clouds, but they're very, very thin clouds during the afternoon, and we're likely to see a little more cloud cover overnight. 10 to 15, 15 to 20 mile-an-hour winds. They'll drop off and then start to pick up again toward dawn tomorrow morning. There's where things are by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. 10 to 20 mile-an-hour winds. We've got some cloud cover, some sunshine in the middle of the day, 15 to 25. And we could see a few clouds again at the end of the day coming up for tomorrow, but the winds drop off 10 to 15 miles an hour at the end of the day tomorrow. No rain so far. That front on off to our northwest just becomes stationary and slows down. But remember, there's that secondary front that's going to pop on in. There's where things are by Wednesday morning at 7, 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds. Little concerned about this particular area. Look how fast it's moving on through between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Now, if that is off in terms of where it's going to be, in other words, if it comes right on through our area, that could be more significant. This particular area could be kind of nasty coming up on Wednesday morning to the northwest of the Richmond area. There's where things are by the noon hour Wednesday, 15, 25 mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be very, very warm, very breezy throughout the area. There's where we are by 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, 15 to 25 mile-an-hour winds ahead of the front with the southwesterly winds, but then right behind that front, winds flip on over to the north, and we can still see some scattered showers, maybe even some rumbles of thunder. But one of the biggest things going on is obviously it's warm out there right now. It's going to get even warmer for tomorrow, around 78 to 80 degrees. The record for tomorrow is 84. I don't think we're going to break that record. There's where things are on Wednesday morning. And Wednesday during the afternoon, 77, 79. That's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember that cold front dropping through? There, look at the temperature by 7 o'clock in the evening, but a 10, 11 degree drop in temperature as that cold front drops on through the region. But no cold front for now. 72 degrees, 70 degrees into the area after a high today of 77 degrees throughout the area. So again, very, very mild through the area, and it's going to be even warmer coming up for tomorrow. Right now, again, the winds are dropping on down, so that's not that awfully bad. And again, 79 degrees for tomorrow, 78, good chance of rain coming up Wednesday late in the day into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Much, much cooler for Thursday all the way into the weekend.
Big drop coming. If you haven't bought tickets yet for your Thanksgiving or Christmas trip, it's not too late. We're on your side with how you could get cheaper airfares than those who booked their flights months ago.
Plus, Virginia Beach leaders looking to make parking easier at the oceanfront. How you can weigh in with your opinions next at 5:30. The cost of airline travel is flying high, but you can still get a deal for your holiday trip We're on your side with advice from the experts on the best time to buy a ticket. The worst time is 6 to 8 weeks out. One of the best times is 4 weeks out when airfare softens a little. Airfare goes back up about 2 weeks out. If you can wait until the week you want to leave, airlines usually offer great deals on Tuesday to fill those empty seats. Signing up for deal alerts from airline and travel sites and connecting through Facebook and Twitter will also give you the opportunity to take advantage of quick sales that last 24 to 48 hours. Always limited seats on those, though.
And we have trouble with the ground transportation because the federal government's investigating possible transmission trouble on some General Motors cars. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration says there are reports of trouble with the automatic shift on certain levels of the Chevy Malibu and Pontiac G6. The floor shift lever, we're told, may not sync with the gear. So a driver could put the car in park, but it may actually be in drive or reverse. It's not a recall so far, just an investigation.
Your pajamas are most likely comfy, and researchers say these have a medical benefit. We'll tell you what it is next.
And new at 5:30, why clean teeth can lead to a healthier heart.
Hi.
Here it could be chaotic. Today it's nice and easy.
I did,
You're going to say, why'd you say that, man? You just jinxed.
Yep. Like how he jinxes a show on his way out. Yeah.
Whose mic is that?
Ew. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check, check. Is that mine? Yeah, it's way down here. It's not hitting anything. Yeah, it's not hitting anything.
What's the most comfortable thing you wear? Pajamas. That might be the #1 answer here, but that's not good enough for researchers in Portugal. They want your PJs to have a healing quality. These are called second dreams, or dermis pajamas rather, made from an extract of shrimp shells and organic cotton. Now, researchers say the pajamas reduce bacteria reproduction in patients with skin disorders. Dozens of volunteers are testing the medical effects, and you can wake me when that study is done. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.